Thank you for joining today's AnyWare Apps webinar session. Thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. Today, we put together a panel with my colleagues. My name is Kevin Devecioglu. I'm with AnyWare Apps, and I have my colleagues in the panel today, and we'll be talking about how to comply with good manufacturing standards on Quality Assurance Anywhere. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that we record these webinar sessions and we post them on our YouTube channel. As you see, we have a YouTube channel called AnyWare Apps. And when you click the playlist, you can see the list of our recorded webinars. You can watch them anytime you like from your laptop, from your smart device, and you can share with your contacts and with your colleagues. And we also encourage you to invite your team members and your colleagues to our YouTube channel as well, for them to watch our educational and informative webinar sessions. So they are available for you and you can visit anytime and watch on YouTube. Also, I like to share our coming webinar sessions. Next week, we'll be talking about aerospace and defense industry in the form of AS9100 compliance, how to comply with AS9100 on Quality Assurance Anywhere with no paper and digitally. On June 1st, we'll be talking about how to manage corrective actions digitally on Quality Assurance Anywhere. As you know, corrective actions are very important for any company, and there are different challenges as we learn from our customers, and we'll be addressing those challenges, and we'll be talking about how one company can manage corrective actions digitally with no need of paper. On June 8th, we are scheduled to talk about BRC standards in food industry, how to comply with BRC standards in food industry on Quality Assurance Anywhere. That's the name of the webinar on June 8th. And June 15th, we'll be talking about how to manage customer complaints digitally on Quality Assurance Anywhere. As we all know, for corrective actions, and for continuous improvement, feedback is very important. And one of the feedback we can get is customer complaints and customer feedback, basically. So it is important for us to talk in detail how to manage customer complaints, how to manage the records, how to analyze them, and talk about it and think about it in detail. So that is scheduled on June 15th. You can register our webinars on Eventbrite. That we have a dedicated page on eventbrite.com, and you can see our coming sessions in terms of AnyWare Apps as well as Quality Assurance Anywhere, and you can pick and choose the session that you like and you can register. All right, so let's talk about today's subject, good manufacturing practices and how to comply with those standards on Quality Assurance Anywhere. As you may remember, we talked about good manufacturing practices in previous weeks, actually, and we talk in detail. So I like to share some more information with you, and also will be to how to comply with good manufacturing practices in a digital environment. As you may remember, good manufacturing practices actually originally was established by World Health Organization. So World Health Organization put together the standards, and many countries basically formulated it their own way. So in the United States, good manufacturing practices basically managed by FDA, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and there are different industries that are actually subject to good manufacturing practices. For example, manufacturers and processes of drugs, medical devices, and blood, for example. These companies operating in these industries, these sectors, basically subject to compliant good manufacturing practices. And I'm also keeping our sources in the bottom of the screen. So if you like to visit later on, if you like to read more in detail, FDA site as well as World Health Organization's website, they have very detailed information about good manufacturing practices. There are main rules of good manufacturing practices, as we addressed before, and this is basically a summary. Training employees is very important, is to keep records of manufacturing operations and activities. Facilities must be cleaned based on good manufacturing practices, and good manufacturing practices encourage companies to have high standards for hygiene and to keep the facility is maintained all the time. It is important to keep track of temperature as well as humidity to comply with good manufacturing practices. Also, there are standard operating procedures for each company based on the industry they are actually operating in. So these SOPs, as we call it, standard operating procedures, they need to be documented and they need to be followed. And these also needs to be documented as well. So that is very important as part of good manufacturing practices. Manufacturing processes must be recorded, and the idea is to basically have those records, and if there is any problem that's to be found out later on, one can trace the manufacturing records and see what actually went wrong. Quality of drugs also must be, drugs and products actually, all these healthcare products and pharma related products, medical products, as well as medicine needs to be also recorded. Distribution of each batch must be documented. The idea is to basically have the opportunity of traceability. If there is any deviation from standard operating procedures, needs to be investigated, and that also needs to be documented and recorded for later review, analysis, and inspections if needed. And also, if there is any complaints coming from customers, stakeholders, must be investigated. There needs to be also contingency plans if there is any complaint and if there is any drug recall in place. And all these complaints must be documented, recorded, and if there is any need, also corrective action needs to be taken in a recorded manner. So this is basically the main rules of good manufacturing practices, and this is basically the summary. We are just reviewing. It's just an overview of good manufacturing practices in a very short sense. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm keeping my sources in the bottom of the screen. World Health Organization as well as FDA has actually very detailed, very educational and informative sites available, so you can visit later on and you can read more in detail. As for good manufacturing practices, there are also, of course, sanitation standard operating procedures. I was actually referring to SOPs, so there is also sanitation focus standard operating procedures, such as cleaning the floor, sanitizing machinery, sanitizing shop floor, sanitization audits are also very, very important. Also, today we'll be talking about Quality Assurance Anywhere, and my colleague Sam will be actually demonstrating how you can run an audit digitally with no need of paper, which is an important record. We need to actually perform sanitization. We need to also perform audits of sanitization, and we need to record it and document it. It's very important, and we'll be talking about it in more detail in a minute. So when we look at digital transformation of quality and compliance management in the scope of GMP, of course, the good thing is there are solutions for challenges companies have. That those challenges may be as to comply with good manufacturing practices. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of documentation needed. You need to keep track of your activities, your manufacturing, your operations as well. Also, you need to manage and keep track of your policies and procedures and SOPs. That's also very, very important. So thanks to digital age, there are solutions to these challenges. For example, documentation, all these policies, procedures, SOPs can be managed and kept digitally. If there is an update needed, you can have it digitally with no need of paper, and you can also inform and keep your team members up to date if there is any update in terms of SOPs and policies and procedures. Audits can also be performed digitally, and we'll also show you in a minute how to do these audits digitally and how to basically manage them. These are important advantages, basically very important advantages of digital age. In this sense, we put together a proactive quality management framework. So based on this framework, it is in this digital age how one can manage quality and compliance management operations. So it has three pillars. One is assurance, other one is control, and the last one is predict. So assurance basically dictates the system that you have, either quality assurance, quality management system, or regulation management system. You may be a medical device company and you may have ISO 13485 as your quality management system, and you may also be practicing good manufacturing practices, for example, as in GMP. So this assurance piece dictates the control. How you're going to have controls in place during manufacturing, after manufacturing, when you receive raw materials before manufacturing, or maybe you have an ISO quality management system in place, and you may want to have controls also in your administrative operations, quality control or control points in your marketing activities, in your purchasing activities, for example, in your sales activities, for instance, can also be managed based on your quality assurance system. And finally, predict piece, that final pillar, is actually referring to smart sensors, IoT devices. So as part of good manufacturing practices, companies need to trace and monitor temperature of work environment and manufacturing environment, temperature, humidity. So these can be basically performed digitally, recorded digitally, and you can take actions before being there physically when you're operating your business, your activities, basically. So keeping these in mind, we put together our AnyWare apps for digital transformation of quality management. So Quality Assurance Anywhere is ready to help you manage your quality risk, audit, and compliance management operations. And you can also manage your quality control operations with the help of Workflow Anywhere. And with the help of Asset Management Anywhere, you can remotely monitor your machinery, equipment, temperature, humidity, for example. And if there is any need, you can also take action as to work orders, either with your internal team members or with your subcontractors. That is very, very important. So our systems, Quality Assurance Anywhere, as well as Asset Management Anywhere and Workflow Anywhere, they are ready to work with many different systems. There may be an IoT device, there may be a manufacturing execution system, there may be a CRM system or ERP system. We can pull and push data. The idea is to have an integrated management system at the workplace. So once data enters from an ERP system, it can feed to, for example, other systems, other software products in the marketplace. Or that may be the other way around. You may actually enter a set of data, for example, into Quality Assurance Anywhere, and this information can feed CRM or ERP or other systems that you may have. That makes it much, much easier for any organization. So in that sense, I like to talk about Quality Assurance Anywhere. So let's keep in mind that Quality Assurance Anywhere has been in the market since 1998. We have more than 1,000 corporate customers. We call them happy corporate customers. And we have more than 1 million professional users using Quality Assurance Anywhere on a daily basis. So we have a lot of experience in quality management systems digitally and helping organizations digitizing their quality management and compliance management operations. Quality Assurance Anywhere is ready to help you manage all your quality management systems. Some companies comply with more than one quality management system, so you can manage those at the same time on the system. There may be ISO 9001, there may be good manufacturing practices, there may be GMP, ISO 14000 or other standards, basically. So that is a great advantage for companies to be able to manage and practice different quality management systems. System is web-based, meaning you can access Quality Assurance Anywhere from anywhere via web browser, which makes things much, much easier for you to use the system. And it is user-friendly. Once we train you properly, you can manage the system by yourself without the need of any outside consultants or IT support, which is very practical. Quality Assurance Anywhere works on cloud as well as on-premise servers, and it has up-to-date technology. One of the advantages of the system is it is modular. There are more than 30 modules available of Quality Assurance Anywhere, and you can pick and choose what module you like. That may be based on what quality management system you are complying with. Also, basically, what you like to digitize at your organization. So when you look at these set of modules that we have on the screen, which are major modules, not all of them, you can see Control Document Management module, which is the backbone of your quality management system. As I mentioned earlier, based on any quality management system. Also regulations basically that you comply with, such as good manufacturing practices, documentation, and record keeping is very important. In that sense, that module is vital. Also, there is customer complaint modules available, internal and external. That's where you get the feedback from your customers. There may be a positive feedback, there may be a negative feedback as in complaint. You can record it there, you can manage it there. There is corrective action module for you to manage corrective actions digitally. Let's remember that corrective actions actually are designed to help companies be actually practicing continuous improvement at the workplace. So that's very critical. And as I mentioned earlier, in coming weeks, we'll be talking about corrective action in more detail as to how to manage it digitally. As you know, risk management is very important for companies, and you can manage your risks, you can assess your risks digitally in Quality Assurance Anywhere, anytime you like. So this module structure is one of the advantages of Quality Assurance Anywhere, and that actually makes it very easy for customers to decide, pick and choose what module they really need. So what I like to do is I like to invite my colleague Sam to demo Quality Assurance Anywhere. Especially we like to talk about audit management today, and he'll be showing us how to run audit activities on Quality Assurance Anywhere digitally without the need of paper. Sam, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Please take over the screen when you are ready.
Sure, thank you. Okay. And can you see my screen?
Yes, it looks perfect. Thank you.
Very nice. Okay. And thank you for joining today's webinar. And thank you for Kevin's presentation. So this is the home screen of Quality Assurance Anywhere. So after you log in, you can see your homepage, and all the pending tasks and requests for approval will be shown in this home screen. So you can click on the windows and get a quick connection and start managing those requests. For example, this is one of the requests for comment for a new document upload in Quality Assurance Anywhere. And also you can find those requests, for example, like corrective action, as known as CAPA, and the audit I have to perform. So this is one of the modules that we will focus today. So we can click on it and see what kind of audit that is assigned to me, and I will be the auditor and carry out this audit operation. And on the top right, you can see now I'm logging in as the administrator, which means I have the full control of Quality Assurance Anywhere. So I can come to here to the main menu of Quality Assurance Anywhere and see all the available modules in this menu. But keep in mind, Quality Assurance Anywhere is a permission-based system, which means not everyone can see everything in the system. Your permission will be based on your role, your position, profession, department, or group. So you will see what you are supposed to see in the system. And again, now since I'm logging in as the admin, and therefore I will have the full control of the system. And this is why you can see all the modules in this main menu. As Kevin mentioned in the presentation, Quality Assurance Anywhere provides over 30 modules in the system. So you can pick and choose whichever is suitable and that you're interested in on your server. And today, we will go into the audit module and see how we can carry out our audit operation for complying with GMP as paperless, which means get rid of the paper. So we can digitize all your audit invitation and operations, and also the follow-up action in this module. Let's get started. So first of all, you can create your audit planning. And in Quality Assurance Anywhere, the audit planning, like the goal that you want to achieve. For example, like you are going to audit, having an internal audit for different departments or any third parties. For example, like the vendor, supplier, or subcontractor, so that you can define this as an audit planning. And after creating your planning, then you can create your audit item, which will be the objective, like how you can achieve your goal for this audit planning. Okay. So and in the audit item, you can invite your auditor and auditee for your audit item, which will help you to send the notification to the auditor. And now we are getting into the audit planning and see how it is look like. We're going to the planning now. Okay, for example, this is one of ours, and get to the supply audit planning. Okay, great. So there we go. So these are all the audit plan that we have in the system. So for example, like an internal audit plan or the supplier audit planning. So we can create our planning again as a goal that we want to achieve. And then after we have our audit planning, for example, like setting up the start date and end date, then we can create the audit item and set up like the objectives and help us to achieve this goal. As for the internal audit plan, so that we can create different audit items. For example, like this is the one example that we invite the sales department to carry out the internal audit. And you can always add a new audit item for your planning, which you can enter the information like the audit code, what you are going to audit. So you can pick and choose from a list which is set up in your system during the deployment. So we have different department audit right here, and we can pick and choose one of those and define the start, the audit date and the finish date right here while we are creating the audit planning. And also for the time that we can pick and choose, for example, like from 10 to 12, for example. And what will be audit? You can define the audit subject while you're creating your audit item. And very important is you can pick and choose or invite someone in your company as the auditor. So for example, myself, like BIMSA Int admin, which is my account, to be the auditor, and who will be the auditee. So you will see an employee list, which is the record or information that we saved in our system in Quality Assurance Anywhere. And you can pick and choose, for example, single or multiple options in this employee list and invite them as or assign them as the auditee. Moreover, you can attach any document that is related for this audit, or can be a supporting document for this audit. And after that, you can save it, and this audit item will be created in the system. So now we have our audit item ready. And you may ask, so in order to be paperless for our audit operations, so there will be a lot of questions that I suppose to ask the auditee, or that has to be prepared for the auditor. How we can make it like paperless in Quality Assurance Anywhere. So you can define the question that will be asked by the auditor in this audit item. So you can pick and choose the question as a reference for the auditor. And also the auditor can enter the actual answer key for those questions. So for example, we can click one of those and let me get rid of it. So let's say now we have 2 questions. And we can add more questions as a reference, for example, like question number 6. And then add this in the question list as a reference for the auditor. The reason why is because we can prepare those or all the audit questions in Quality Assurance Anywhere. And as you know, not every department should be asked the same question in the audit. For example, while we are auditing the sales department, so there should no questions about manufacturing to be asked during the audit, which means we should only prepare the questions for sales department only, like how they deal with the prospect and how they demonstrate it, what they can say during the demonstration, and so on. But nothing about manufacturing, like during the how they can how they should maintain the manufacturing machine or equipment, let's say. And these are not the suitable question to ask while we are having the audit with sales department. And after that, this audit item is prepared and ready. And Quality Assurance Anywhere will send a notification to the auditor and also to the auditee in Quality Assurance Anywhere and also in their email inbox. So they can find the notification right on the home screen of Quality Assurance Anywhere, which I show in the beginning of my demonstration. And also they will receive an email as a reminder as well. And coming back to our main menu, we can find the audit module. And in every module of Quality Assurance Anywhere, you can find the reporting tool, which allows you to create the ready-made report in the system. In this module, for example, you can create the report like audit score report and audit finding, audit history records. So you can come here and generate your report, which you can also put the condition for this report as well. In case like the inspector of or auditor for GMP, then he or she asks you to show me how you proceed your audit operation, or how you manage it in your company, so that you can create all your audit history right here and show it to the auditor. And you can see which day that we carry out certain audit to which department and who will be the responsible person for this audit. Furthermore, you can use the graphical reporting tool, which allows you to carry out a graphical report in Quality Assurance Anywhere. Again, on your left, you can put your condition to your report. For example, setting up the time frame, like for the last year or an annual report. So we can set up our time frame and see which standard or regulation that we are complying with, or that our audit complying with. And then we can draw our graph, and it will be shown here. As you can see, it will be shown in a bar chart and in a table. And you're more than welcome to export this report as an Excel, PDF, image for sharing with any responsible parties. It's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for everyone for joining this webinar.
Thank you, Sam, for the demonstration. Much appreciated. Now it's time for Q&A session, and let's see what kind of questions we are receiving, the types of the questions, and then we address them. So one of the questions is, let me see, actually, I have a list of it here, and we can address them one by one before we end our webinar. Oh, one of the questions is about security. What type of security features do we have while complying with good manufacturing practices and ISO 13485? Some of them actually mentioned during the demonstration. Sam mentioned it. Maybe I can just address it for quick. System is permission-based, Quality Assurance Anywhere, and where you can actually decide who can see what part of the system, basically, and who can do what in the system. Everything is permission-based, and also let me remind you that system has audit trails. So once someone actually logs in Quality Assurance Anywhere, we capture all the activities, we capture the login time, log out time, and other activities. Everything is captured in the system, and it's basically reportable. Same thing with the modules that we have. While overall system is permission-based, individual modules in so much in detail, also it's also permission-based. So you can also give certain permissions to certain team members in your company, for example, and you can manage it accordingly. Let's see if there is another question. Oh, one of the questions is about actually, can I manage more than one quality assurance system in Quality Assurance Anywhere? So the answer is yes. You may be complying with, let's say, ISO 9001, and at the same time, maybe you're complying with ISO 14000 about environment, which are complementary quality management systems. So you can manage both of them at the same time on Quality Assurance Anywhere, which makes it much easier for you if you think about it, to manage two systems in one platform. So you can keep your documents, policies, procedures together, and you can actually, if necessary, divide them and mark them based on the quality assurance system that you are complying with, which makes it easy for you. Let's take one more question if we have. Okay, so the other question is about mobile app. Do you have a mobile app available for Quality Assurance Anywhere? Sam, would you like to address that question?
Yes, sure. And my answer is yes. We have mobile application available for Android and iOS device. You can download it on your Google Play Store or App Store for iOS device. And once you download it, you can connect to your Quality Assurance Anywhere on your handheld device like your smartphone or tablet. You can see the same data because what you can see in your web browser, it is going to or coming from the same database as your mobile applications.
Thank you, Sam. That's an important point nowadays, especially you may be working from home, you may be working remotely, you may be traveling later on, right? So you like to basically access your data and your quality management system easily. In that sense, of course, having the mobile app makes things much easier. As an alternative, you can access Quality Assurance Anywhere just using web browser, basically, just like connect another website. You can connect, you can log in, and you can continue your activities digitally, which is great. As I mentioned earlier, we have our contact information on the screen. On top, you can see our website, anywareapps.com. You can visit the website. You can also see other AnyWare apps in addition to Quality Assurance Anywhere. And we also have our email address on the screen. Before we end our session, I'd like to remind you that we have a YouTube channel, AnyWare Apps YouTube channel. You can visit our YouTube channel. You can click playlist, and you can see the list of recordings of our previous webinar sessions. You can watch, you can share with your contacts, and you can also invite your team members to watch as well. So that's a great resource for you to visit anytime you like. And also, let me remind you our coming webinar sessions. Next week, we'll be talking about AS9100 in aerospace and defense industry, how to comply AS9100 digitally on Quality Assurance Anywhere. And coming weeks, we'll be talking about corrective action, compliance digitally on Quality Assurance Anywhere, BRC, compliance in food industry, and also we'll be talking about and discussing further about customer complaints and how to manage customer complaints digitally for compliance on Quality Assurance Anywhere. So we have a lot of content to cover in coming weeks, coming months. This year is very much all set in terms of our planning. So we are looking forward to it. Please, if you like to have any, if you have any questions, you can contact us. We have our contact information on the screen. If you like to have one-to-one sessions, we'll be happy to schedule it with you, for you. You have our phone number on the screen. We have our email address on the screen, and feel free to connect us anytime you like. And make sure to visit our website because we have other AnyWare apps available as well. As you see on the screen, we have Asset Management Anywhere, we have Workflow Anywhere, and we have other AnyWare apps as well available. And you can have more information about them on our website. And if you'd like to schedule a one-to-one free demo session or discovery meeting, we welcome it. We are looking forward to it, and feel free to connect us anytime you like. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. We look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll be talking about aerospace industry, defense industry, and how to comply with AS9100 digitally on Quality Assurance Anywhere in this digital age with no need of paper. We look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.